Hi there, everybody. I think I'm going to adjust this camera just a little bit. Hello and welcome to the Commercial Kitchen. My name is Rob and I am the host of the All Around Growth podcast. I am also, you could say, leading production and sales of our fermented food operation here at York Meadow Farm. I help Dad and Mom run this facet of the business, one of the many operations going on here at York Meadow Farm. And today we are making a batch of lemon dill sauerkraut. So I figured we would skip the boring stuff and the cabbage preparation, at least. We've got to do the final preparation, but you could join me as I make a batch of sauerkraut. And I can answer your questions and hopefully before I get started, I will make sure I can see what the heck is going on here. Okay, so enough of that. It's time to get to work. I will simply keep this going in the background, and you guys can watch what I'm doing as I pick through the cabbage here. One of the things that we do, the final steps in the preparation of the cabbage, is picking through it once it's been shredded. There's little bits of the core and things that, they make it through the shredder, but there's still bits that you really might not want to eat, if that makes sense. So this is what we do. I was hoping to have a good bit of this done by the time it was time to stream, so that you guys could watch the fascinating process of chopping lemons and then juicing those, because it doesn't get much better than that. But no, we're gonna add this to the mix and see how far we get in an hour. And after an hour, we'll go ahead and cut it off. But for now, as we begin experimentation with live streaming, let's just say that we are refining the content that we are producing. So at this point in time, I'm picking through the cabbage, but unlike I did the other day, I'm going to go ahead and add my salt now. Pick through the cabbage first. Oftentimes, when making something, but in the case of making curtido, because you're adding salt and a blend of other spices to your cabbage and mixing it together, you want to, okay, long story short, we can add our salt now and mix that together with the cabbage while we pick through it. So that, my friends, is what we're going to do. Now, how much salt really depends on your personal preference. We have reached the amount of salt that we use through trial and error and over the course of years of experimentation. But where do you begin? You could say that for example, give me 1 second here, guys. Okay, it depends, but on one recipe, what I was looking at was a good baseline that you can use for the amount of salt that you use is basically 1.5 to 1.7% of your vegetable weight. Okay? And if you have sensitivities to salt, use less. You know, you hear stories about old timers rinsing sauerkraut, or like their grandparents rinsing sauerkraut. And oftentimes that's probably because the sauerkraut wasn't, or the salt wasn't really measured when it was added to the vegetables. It was just added, and they could always be rinsed. Well, with salt, you can always begin with salt and add some later. It's easier that way rather than rinsing it. Rinsing your vegetables is a pain in the butt. So I'm not going to give you the exact, I'm not going to tell you how much salt to use, because that's just, that's silly. That's not a thing to do. One of our mentors, and when I say our, I mean both Dad and I, basically everything not everything, but well, everything as far as applies to the commercial production of fermented foods, I learned from my dad, but I've been fermenting on and off for 20 years at this point. I just turned 45, and I started messing around with ferments in my early mid-20s when I was living in North Carolina. And Dad, where I'm going with this long-winded story is our mentors. You know, when I say we, I'm talking about Dad and myself. It's more of a mentor for my father than me, but I've recently been turned on to him. We watched a webinar that he did recently called Fermentation Journeys, which is the title of his new book. And this person that I'm yammering on and on and on and on about is Sandor Katz. And what he says is, don't be a slave to a recipe. And I agree with that. And I think there's always room for experimentation. With that said, I also believe that that with room for experimentation, you increase your margin for not so much error, but with experimentation, you increase your inability to replicate that again. And when we are in the business of producing fermented foods on a commercial scale, we want a product that can be replicated time and again. And in this case, we're talking about Lemon Dill Kraut, which I mentioned in an interview the other day, is something that we jokingly call the gateway kraut, because a lot of people have it stuck in their minds that they don't like sauerkraut. And that makes sense. You know, we've all got things in life that we've been conditioned to not like, from things that we don't like from childhood. I understand. I'm trying to think of something that if I had to think of something that maybe I didn't really like from childhood, whereas I had family members that did, it would be like Brunchwagger. I would eat it, but it's not something that I really, really liked. But some people just have bad associations with sauerkraut. Okay. So if they immediately turn up their nose, especially if they're with someone who's trying a sample, and they say, no, I don't want a sample. I don't like sauerkraut. My response is, well, do you like pickles? And if they say, sure, I like pickles, then I'll hit them with, if you like pickles, you'll like this Lemon Dill Kraut. It's like pickles in sauerkraut form. Just not sour. And then when they get the sample cup, they usually smell it. And I said, well, they get hit with the sour that they're usually all yuck about. Is it's not overpowering, but it's masked slightly by the citrus in the lemon. And I think for people who find the tartness of ferments not so palatable, the citrus is a little bit more pleasing. On the tongue. So yeah, that is how and why Lemon Dill is effectively the gateway kraut to and the gateway kraut and sauerkraut is the gateway ferment to all other fermented foods. I'm going to take a moment, pause here, and look and see if, yeah, okay, I think we're recording. I think everything is good to go. Looks like somebody's watching out there. Hi. Thanks for tuning in. The person that's watching could be you, could be the action cam, right? Everyone loves the action cam. I mean, who doesn't want to see a close-up and mixing salt and cabbage and working through the final steps of the quality assurance of the shredded cabbage. This is perhaps the most scintillating part of making sauerkraut. picking through the shredded cabbage and giving it the final once over. You know, if this was something that I was just making for myself and my family, that would be perfectly acceptable with some of these large bits. Because I could tell them, hey, this is how it is. You know? But the customers, they're not my family. You know, we want to treat them better than our family. They're like family, but better, you know? So, everything that goes into a jar and becomes a sellable product, whether it's online, for market, to a retail location, it's all the same. A jar is a jar is a jar is a jar. And it's kind of the uncertainty of the final product and knowing that I want the person on the receiving end of that product to receive the highest quality product I can produce, and knowing that when they enjoy it, well, that will bring me great pride. That's why we take a little extra time and consideration when we go through this, making it as desirable of an experience as possible. And so you can see now that we've picked through this and we've gotten most of the yucky chunks out, some of the outer leaves and some of the core that made it through when everything was shredded. And now that it's glistening, what that is an indicator of is the fact that the salt is drawing water out of the cells through the process of osmosis. And this water that we're just starting to see now, right? This is ultimately what becomes brine, because for the little bit that we see now, there's plenty more of that inside the cell walls. And later on, when we pack it and pound it, and ultimately do a little bit of this, that further breaks down the cell walls, as does the pounding, and that helps release some of the brine inside our shredded cabbage. Okay. One down, 6 to go. All right. Hello, everybody. There's a couple new people coming in. We are in the process of making lemon dill sauerkraut. Coming to you live from the commercial kitchen at York Meadow Farm. Who knows who will be in here today? Could be Cody. Could be Dad. Might even get a surprise visit from Mom. She's on vacation this week and is taking care of all manner of things around the homestead, removing screens from the windows, cleaning the windows, cleaning the house, removing doors from hinges, painting doors. I believe there's soaps and hand creams being made, or if not made, perhaps being cut, wrapped, and prepared. More discussions about some rebranding that will likely take place over the next year, 12 to 18 months. That's exciting to talk about and exciting to hint about here in discussions like this, where people are going to get little teasers of what's going on, what the future has in store, and also regarding teasers, updates about what the future has in store. One thing that you can do is go to the website, yorkmeadowfarm.com, and scroll down towards the end, or just simply go to yorkmeadowfarm.com/newsletter and subscribe to the newsletter. Why do you want to do that, you might ask? Well, a couple of reasons. Because you can find out about everything that's going on here. We send out an email once a month with just a snapshot into homestead operations, which includes everything that's going on here in the kitchen, and then also includes market updates, updates on new retail locations, which, speaking of new retail locations, it looks like we have been approved to be vendors at a local supermarket, with a local supermarket. So, having gone through that application process and, for lack of a better term, passed, we will, I need to do some follow-up and see what the next steps are, but we will be submitting product availability, photos, descriptions, and then they will be placing an order as this new store approaches its opening date. And since it is a chain store, I'm hopeful that that may lead to future orders with other stores throughout the area, of which there are many, in addition to other stores being located throughout the entire Midwest region. That grocery store in question, I suppose there's no sense in keeping it a secret, is Meijer. And there you have it. The particular location in general, or the particular location that I'm speaking of, that is at East 105th and Cedar Avenue, I believe. in East Cleveland, and there is a development. It's going in there as part of a development which includes an apartment complex or an establishment with almost 200 units, a parking garage with 105 dedicated spaces to the grocery store itself. So there is, and this location is in what the city refers to as a food desert and is very close in proximity to the Cleveland Clinic and these upscale condos and townhouses that are being built are, in my opinion, likely being built to cater to the crowd that is working there as that area continues to grow and thrive. So I'm very excited about that. And I look forward to sharing more updates with you about that as time goes on. If you guys are out there watching, feel free to drop a comment. Just say, hey, let me know that you're out there. Let me know where you're listening from. Let me know how the audio quality is, because the audio quality is on that camera over there, and I'm wondering if it should be on this camera right here, where I should have the microphone. Actually, I may keep that in mind for the next live stream. But we'll see how this goes. This was the part that I was hoping to have done by the time I had the cameras rolling, because this is the most boring and time-consuming part of the sauerkraut making process is the processing of the cabbage itself. Now, at this point, once this is done, what we do is we add our lemon juice and a bit of garlic and some dill. And that's it. What we do, basically almost every iteration of sauerkraut that we make begins with traditional kraut. So you've got your shredded cabbage and you've got your salt, whatever ratio works for you. And then you've got your, you mix your shredded cabbage and your salt. And at that point, you can do whatever you want with it. Cabbage is the basis for so many ferments. For example, curtido, which I made a batch of yesterday. Curtido is a Central American side dish. Think of the kimchi of El Salvador, right? And it is a fermented dish that consists of generally some sort of variation that includes cabbage, onions, carrots, garlic, and spices, such as salt, cumin, red pepper flakes, oregano, maybe some coriander, or hell, you know, the spices are really limited to what you want to do and how much you want to use, and that's the beauty of fermentation, is the experimentation aspect of it and trying different things until you find something that you really like. And we've found that keeping logs is helpful. Well, for us, it's a bit of a requirement too, having log books in a commercial kitchen. But before we were doing this on a commercial basis, we started keeping log books. Dad started keeping log books. The extent of my logs was just whatever I wrote down on the tape or the lid of the jar, if I wrote anything down at all. Usually I followed some recipes in some books and just made some notes in there and followed the same recipe. It just made the same minor adjustments every now and then. But once we found a recipe that really worked for us, we got everything down in grams. The spices weighed out in grams, and you know, including even the vegetables, the cabbage, the onions, the carrots, the garlic, because that way, and today's a good example, usually we make about 35 pounds at a time of the lemon dill, but I was short a little bit of cabbage. So I had to, you know, do some math today and compensate for the amount of cabbage that I had, which is probably about, you know, pre-picking like this, came out to around 33, 4 pounds, right? And the estimate based on what I weighed everything out prior to picking it, because you got to just see when we're picking out these final bits for every little bucket here, you know, we throw out maybe an ounce or two, and so the long and short of it is, instead of having what our normal batch is, around 570 some ounces, this is going to be somewhere around 500. I just did the math at 504 ounces. You have to have somewhere, and it's not worth it to. Numbers are numbers, and again, you don't want to be a slave to a recipe, but if you're using ratios and you know, the law of averages always gives you a final product that's generally consistent. And believe it or not, this lemon dill for a period of time was actually a product that we contemplated not making. Stopping. So, yeah, unfortunately, this is going to be a bit of a boring stream today because this is the part that I wanted to get done beforehand, and I thought I was going to, but I simply did not. So basically, this is going to be an hour of split cam, action cam, of me doing little else other than mixing cabbage. Mixing cabbage, picking cabbage. Doing the final QA. Before adding the final ingredients. And packing it. Yeah, under normal circumstances, this is what they consists of. Music in the background, dancing and picking through kraut, picking through cabbage, as we make kraut. So much of the time is just spent picking, kind of like grooming gorillas in the jungle. The only thing is, I'm not eating these. These aren't insects. But at some point, it would be nice if we have birds or other livestock here, and we can put some of this to use instead of simply going into the compost, trash, wherever it ends up, like leaves here. But there's only so many hours in the day. You do what you can with the waste that you produce. Maybe we got to the point where we bottle and sell some of the byproduct that is the brine of the sauerkraut. For quite some time, all we did with this byproduct was Dump it down the drain. There wasn't really any use for it. That's when we started bringing it to market, offering it up as gut shots. And all of a sudden people wanted to start buying it. Interesting how that works. So currently we are streaming to YouTube, Twitch, and I forget where I set up the third one. We've got YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. So welcome everyone. Welcome to the kitchen, where we produce fermented foods with care, love. We like to say here at the farm, nourishing you from the inside and out. Because Mom makes soaps, hand creams, bath bombs, all of which are natural and colored only with botanicals, clays, nothing artificial in them, no weird ingredients. And we take pride in that. There's nothing weird about our processes here, and that's part of why we're doing what we're doing like this, just to share the experience with you so that you can see exactly what we do and how we do it, why. You can ask questions and hopefully motivate and inspire you to take fermenting to a whole new level if you find it interesting. Because when it comes to a side hustle and something that you can do, this one is relatively easy, and oftentimes at farmers markets it's something that's in demand because a lot of people, when it comes to vendors at farmers markets and market managers, let's talk about market managers. When it comes to making decisions about who is going to participate in your market that season, there's a lot of people growing produce out there. There's a lot of people baking cookies and baking breads. You know what there's not a lot of people doing? There's not a lot of people doing fermented foods. And we didn't start with this commercial kitchen. You know, Dad started we started in our own kitchen, but to go to market, we had to make the product in a commercial kitchen. which is easy to do. You can rent space in a commercial kitchen. Now we might actually get to a point where we're renting out this space, this commercial kitchen. Who knows? But it got to a point where we all decided to get serious about this. So we built a commercial kitchen right here in the barn. Where are we time-wise? 46 minutes. 46 minutes of filtering cabbage. Guys, who thought sauerkraut would be so exciting? Is this what you were expecting? Oh, this exceeds your expectations? Of course it does. You know, one thing I should be doing too is streaming to the Telegram group. So maybe what I'll do is I'll go ahead and see if I can't set that up real quick. Why not? Okay, well. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but I have to figure out telegram stream another time. But for now, there's something going on over here. Let's see what's happening. Well, nothing really. about halfway done. Same stuff. This is why we listen to tunes. Shout out to anyone who can guess who I am listening to now. Naturally fermented foods fueled by groovy tunes.
See you later.
One thing I haven't checked with all of this streaming is comments. We'll see what we got as far as comments out there, and if there's any engagement on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. I've seen a couple people pop in and out, but uh-oh. Okay, well, guys, we are at an hour at this point in time. And yikes, that's mildly annoying. So, guys, we are here at an hour, and I appreciate you tuning in. I'm going to end this broadcast, and I've still got two more bins of sauerkraut or cabbage to process, and that's going to take another 15-20 minutes, at which point I've still got to chop and juice the lemons, add the garlic, and then get the packing. Like I said, this is the reason why I wanted to have all of this done ahead of time before getting into the actual packing or before getting into the filming. So my apologies as I get used to everything here, but stay tuned because this is just the first of more to come from inside the kitchen here at York Meadow Farm. So guys, I appreciate you tuning in today. I appreciate your time with me here, and I'm glad you could make it, and I look forward to catching you next time here in the kitchen. So we'll see you.